Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. This is our last CSS Breakpoint of the year with Skulk and myself. We'll be back again in the new year, in January. We already have one lined up, I think, for the 16th of January with Daryl LaRue. So join us for that one, same time, but different date. Skulk will just thank our sponsors, and then we'll get into what we want to chat about today.
Yeah. So if you can just pop my screen in the video feed, then I will just dig into it. So yeah, luckily we are fortunate enough that these sessions are kind of sponsored by a company that I do contract work for, but I also know the people that run the company on a personal level as well. So a company called Pattern, they kind of do a lot of work in the ERP space, so specifically in the fashion kind of space. So they do a lot of work for clients like Woolworths and Pepcore, Poetry, and so forth, specifically around like stock management and a lot of like machine learning things in terms of predicting where stock is going to sell and so forth. And they have no like any material benefit from sponsoring this beyond just like actually them really liking what we're doing, and me having a personal relationship with them, and them going like we actually just want to kind of cover the overheads in terms of even if FETSA is a non-profit, there are kind of overheads when it comes to auditing and stuff like the streaming service and so forth. So just a shout out to them, Pattern. You can check them out at patternretail.com. Cool. So yes, what we want to chat about today is CSS Wrapped, and I do think we had a CSS Breakpoint last, I think, with myself and Skulk Nettling, in which I actually thought it was the last one for the year. It turns out it's not. So I was actually thinking of talking about this, and then we actually spoke about some stuff that Skulk actually kind of mentioned. So I'm glad that we're actually able to cover this. To me, like, this is a nice companion piece to the state of CSS.
Yes, agreed.
That Justin and I spoke about a bit earlier. So yeah, I'm sharing my screen, and I think like we can just start diving into it. I am zoomed in quite a lot, but I'm also cognizant. Justin, I don't know, maybe you can just change the layout as well, so it's just the video feed in the bottom, because I am cognizant. I know, I think you can keep our faces, maybe just like that.
Yeah,
I'm cognizant of, like, some people have mentioned to me that they actually watch this on their mobile devices or whatever. So I'm trying to be as accommodating as I can possibly be. Yes.
Talk. Before you go on, you're on 2023, not 2024 CSS Wrapped.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, like that is a. I'm not even offended that you interrupted me there. See, this is why you shouldn't ask me to do anything this time of year. Like, my brain is just mush. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay. So let's dive into it. And one thing I really like is we have a logo now, and it's actually a really cool logo. So a lot of people talk about kind of the back. Yeah, a lot of people talk about the backstory, specifically with Eric Meyer and so forth. But like, can I also just acknowledge that it's a damn nice logo. I really didn't like the blue CSS3 one from day one, and I'm just glad that we're rid of that thing finally.
Agreed.
It's not going to stop people from just using that for the next 10 years in CVs and say you need to have CSS3. But anyway, all right. Just what is this font? Justin, you're probably loving this font.
No comment.
Rock on. Okay. So yeah, like, notably, like, I was pretty much expecting that view transitions and scroll driven animation was going to be a big thing. Like, you've done an entire talk on it. I've done several talks on view transitions. I've spoken at 2 conferences this year alone on view transitions alone. If this is the first time you are hearing about view transitions or scroll driven animations, do yourself a service and start Googling right now. Like, those, if you
Yeah.
want to talk about CSS in 2024, like these are things that are paradigm shifting. There's a lot of stuff that is kind of
Absolutely.
like they're nice to haves, and they're things that we've kind of been wanting for a very long time now. But like when it comes to view transitions, this is literally changing the game of what
Hmm.
websites even are. Um, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Also,
I'll
just
probably
on.
do a plug for myself as well. I mentioned, I've done a couple of talks on this. Just Google Skulk Painter view transitions if you want to watch any of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Mhm.
There's actually one on our Fetzer YouTube channel that you did, Scott,
Oh yeah,
a while back.
yeah. There you go. I think that was. I tend to do dry runs on FedSaf before I actually do the talks. But yeah, I've actually submitted that for a talk for DevConf next year as well. So we'll see.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah. Also, a lot
Yeah.
of things baseline. Um, I think. Let me just see this year with exclusive accordions. What does this refer to? Do you know what this refers to?
So this refers to changes to the details.
Oh, yes, that only one can be open. I'm doing that on my site because I use the details element quite extensively on my personal website, and I'm doing that with JavaScript at the moment.
Yeah. So
Where
you
if
don't
you
need to do
click
that
one,
anymore.
yes, I
Yeah.
intercept the event and then I close all the other open ones. Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice, and it's kind of strange that it took this long because it's a very common design pattern. Um,
Extremely common design pattern.
yes, yes.
And it works like so. You just need to give your, if you've got say three details
Hmm.
elements, you just need to give them all the same name
Hmm.
attribute, and then they
Oh, so
are
it's like a button.
exclusive.
It's like a radio button, radio
Almost, yeah.
input.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Grouping it
yeah,
by name, yeah.
yeah. Because it works on the
Exactly,
same
yeah.
principle. Yeah.
Same
Um,
principle, yeah.
then add property. I'm not that familiar with. Correct me if I'm wrong. Add property is for all the people like us that are not smart enough to use Houdini to kind of extend CSS a little bit.
Correct.
Yes.
It came out of Houdini, yeah.
Yes.
And it allows you to
Turns out the
create
average
your.
CSS developer is just way too dumb to use Houdini. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Houdini also has a whole bunch of cross-browser issues as well.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah, so add property allows you to set your own kind of custom properties around. It's quite useful for like in a way it introduces like type safety to variables and things like that,
Oh
where you
yes,
can scope them
I
differently.
I
Yeah,
remember that. It'll actually throw an error. If
correct. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. So if you're not familiar with Houdini, I think I've pronounced it like three different ways now in the last 2 minutes. Houdini, Howdini, Houdini. The H
Houdini.
thing. It was kind of like a very early attempt at. I think it coincided very much with kind of like the kind of the movement around the web components spec, in
Yeah.
which it kind of looked to kind of do something similar, which is kind of make CSS extensible, so that
Hmm.
you get like a lot of lower level things, primitives that you can build upon. To create, so you can create like your own CSS rule, but I think as Justin mentioned, it just came with so many caveats that it never really caught
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, this popover, I think Skalk Neetling and I spoke about the popover API.
Okay.
Like this is something that and I think I did mention, I'm kind of surprised the extent to which they implemented this, which they made it really powerful,
Extremely
um,
powerful.
which
Yeah.
seems to me like, yo, that's a big leap. Like, if it was me, I would have kind of incrementally added a bit of like low level things and then start. But they were just like, oh, here's like this massive hammer that you can now use in your CSS or your HTML that completely removes the need for like tooltips or whatever. Go wild,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
which is why, which
And
is crazy. But yeah.
yeah. I mean, it
Mm.
is, and it's so easy to use. You just need a button
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a
We
and
might get
an
into it.
additional attribute,
Yes.
and off you go. Yeah.
Yeah, we might get into it a bit as well. So I spoke about this one as well when Skulk Neertling and I spoke. He actually didn't even know about this. This is changing my
Oh,
life.
okay. Yeah,
I
it's very
am
nice.
using it everywhere. It's replacing 99.5% of all my keyframe animations.
Yeah.
And it's also a bonus that it kind of allows you to work around display none and lots of those type of things.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
It's not supported in Firefox, just as a caveat, but yet,
yes.
but progressive enhancement, all
Yes,
good.
and yeah, and you should never your animations should never have like critical meaning, because if you're in if your animations if animations not working is kind of going to degrade not the experience but the functionality of your product, then like also good luck to people who have like disabilities and challenges around
Yeah, no,
animations like vestibular disorder and whatever, because
quite
on
right.
most
Yeah,
devices you can switch that off. So then I
yeah,
guess they're not going to be able to use your site. So animation should always be an enhancement. um,
agreed.
yeah,
Starting
thanks to
style,
yes.
um, just quickly on that. I mean, it's not
mm,
just for animating like a color or something. You can use
mm.
it on like the dialogue element, for example. Um,
Oh really, I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
you can have a starting style on your dialogue, say opacity and transform, and then you can animate that via the starting style as well. So yeah, there's many use cases for it.
Mm. One thing that would be really nice for me, which I guess this is inevitable now, and they've kind of opened this box, and like they're going to have to do it eventually. It's kind of at ending style, which is effectively if the HTML element unmounts, um,
Mm, mm,
and I like so the question was just like, how do you solve that from a semantic point of view? Like, how do you solve the issue of having something animate on the screen that's technically not there anymore? But
hmm
I think that has been solved with and very in a very clever way. Like to add to that, I think that has been solved with view transitions. So
Yeah.
I can't. I think all the conceptual pieces are there for us to have a way to animate things that are removed from the DOM now as well. Yeah,
Mm,
so
mm.
I can't imagine that not becoming a thing eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually
Mm,
seen because we can now animate display block and display none. So I've
mm,
seen that. So I saw an example of that somewhere. I can't remember where
mm,
literally removing elements from the DOM, with some JavaScript, but animating that in the CSS.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, can
So
do
you're
it.
starting. Okay, yeah. So you're okay. Cool. So I guess you're changing the starting style then to be what it currently is, and not
Yeah,
the real starting style. Oh, that's super
correct.
interesting. Cool. All right. Hey, Mr. Dinosaur. Okay. Skateboarding Chrome Dino. We're not going to do that now. Um,
No.
that's
Um,
that's on my gaming stream. um,
we'll
yes.
we'll catch that on Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hit that subscribe button. Um, yeah. Cool. You want to speak to this?
field sizing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think
field
I still
sizing
don't
is
understand it 100%. I think you tried to explain it to me at some point, and I just couldn't put the pieces together.
so
Uh,
this sorry, let me just turn my notifications off. Sorry.
hmm.
Um, this is related to the
The
new sizing properties that we already have, as in fit content, max
oh,
content, min
the
content.
what's it called? Intrinsic? No, it's not intrinsic sizing. What's it called? Logical properties. Is
Logical
it not?
properties.
Yes,
Yeah,
logical
I'm not sure
properties.
if it's part of that. Yeah, but yeah, it's
Hmm.
definitely related to like the concept of fit content. With fit
Hmm.
content, if you say with fit content, that means that your element will only be as
Oh,
wide as its actual content. So
okay. This
now,
is
because
super
one of
interesting.
the
Yeah.
things that has been incredibly painful forever
Hmm.
is knowing how to size an input and be able to, let's just look at the little video. It's a good, so you'll see there as they add, it just goes.
Yeah, but so that's obviously that's a existing instance of it, but then they kind of show, because I think the text element did that by default, right?
Text field did, but not an input.
Is it?
Text area, sorry, text area.
Yes.
Area.
I meant text area. Yeah. Okay. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So now they're
input
extending that to everything else.
To everything. So you can see there on the select, when you change that, it changes to its size. That is not dependent on the options. If you look on the select, if you just click on the it's a video.
Yeah, it's a video. No, but I get. So I think
just click on that. Yeah, there.
But I think what a lot of tools like Material UI does and so forth, I don't know if it does it natively, but a lot of tooling sets it to whatever is the biggest option that you can select. Does it do that natively?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I don't think it does it natively. I think it natively it just uses the regular DOM flow to figure out what the size of this thing should be, and it just chops it off. That input is nice. I honestly don't know how
There's a code pen just below this.
Then you can have me click on the things. Yeah.
Which shows the differences. So that's without field sizing.
Yes.
It's just going to stay whatever size you've indicated in your CSS or the size of its parent, right?
Yes. Okay.
And then below that, you'll see they've got an addition. They've got examples with So you see what's happening there.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you go, it's
okay. Yeah. I think it went downwards previously. I can't remember if it went sideways. Text area.
Text input went sideways. Text area went down, I think.
I don't think text input grew. But yeah, I use such high abstractions of these things nowadays that I don't actually.
Yeah, no, text inputs.
Oh, this one was annoying.
Let's
upload a picture of myself. This was annoying. So I guess they put it in here because if you have something that's really long, it just disregard what I have on my desktop. Let's see. Let's go with a nice little picture of me at a conference. Okay, none of these have very long file names, but I would assume that it would not chop it off. Whereas, they're like, I've had cases where it's like the first 3 letters and then it just truncates or whatever. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any font size, any writing mode. This is really cool. I like this.
Okay.
And like I did see they mentioned up top that some of this has to do with logical properties, and I can understand why, because like with logical properties, there is no such thing as sideways and downwards. So you need to make provision for both. So by definition, there's no reason for the elements themselves to restrict in either direction.
Correct.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Does this work if you you have to do text area for it to go to the next line? Yeah.
Yes, text input will always just be one line.
Single line. Yeah. Okay.
So
all right.
I think this is useful for something like I mean, I work in financial services, so we have tons of inputs where you've got to put in a number, but then you want to restrict it. So like, let's say you can only enter a percentage, right? And then you've got to have a specific class to have a nice width for for something that's just a percentage or whatever. With this, you can just go field sizing and done.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's very nice. 2 caveats. No Safari or Firefox support. And also, we need to bear in mind that iOS still has that annoying bug. Well, not a bug. At this stage, it's just a feature.
A feature. Yeah.
Whereas if you don't specify font size 100% on your inputs, whenever you hit an input on an iOS device, it expands. it zooms into it.
Mm.
So I don't know how that's going to play with this. We'll have to wait and
Yeah.
see.
Turns
Yeah,
out it's not a good idea to just like not follow the specification, because the specification might change and then you've built like the way
yeah,
your thing works on top of something
ex
that's in flux. But yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Safari.
Yeah. This one.
Question from Sean:
Oh,
does
yeah.
field sizing work with content editable? My answer is I have no idea. Maybe we
Yeah.
could just open this, open this
Well,
code
yeah.
pen and
Yeah.
edit that and just put in a content editable on one of those.
Yeah. So let's take this instead of so as like correct me if I'm wrong, editable means that you can turn anything like
Yeah,
a
so you'd
div or
want to take
whatever into an
div.
input.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd want to
So
have a
if I
div
just do,
just with
yeah,
a
and I do content
div.
editable,
Yeah,
like that. Right.
that's it.
Okay, let's put some stuff in it. Okay, turns out it does.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just wondering if that's not just default behavior.
Behavior.
Or...
Well, let's just see. Wait, how do they enable it?
Look at the CSS.
Oh, it's in the CSS. I see. Okay, so with, let's just disable that. Okay, let's see.
So that's just default
Yeah, so I think it's
behavior.
maybe by, yeah, because it's actually, it's as if that is being output by the HTML. So I think it
Yeah,
would
but
follow the HTML rules. Yeah.
uh, bring that CSS back, Scott, and just add div to it. I see if it doesn't.
Oh, oh,
So
oh, 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 that's also true. Yeah. Okay, so we were actually testing the, we were actually just testing the default behavior.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think it's going to do anything. Yeah,
Yeah, like I think it actually does it by default already.
looks like it. Yeah.
Because like from my understanding, if you do, this is still a div, so whatever you put in there treats it as if you put it actually in here in the, so it's actually input's actually the exception that this is not how input works. So
Mm.
okay, yeah. Any other questions?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Animate to hide auto. This one is nice. Yeah, I actually didn't think they were actually ever going to do this. But yeah, turns out you can actually now animate like, so okay, so I think there's a couple of things here, like probably take a couple of steps back. So Justin, you probably heard people say you should never animate height.
Yes.
Heard that for a long time as well. I've been very naughty recently, let's say the last 2 years, and I've been doing it with very little. So the main thing was always just the performance implications because of reflows.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it seems to not be as bad nowadays.
No, we definitely have better browsers handling that better.
Hmm.
But reflows, yeah, I mean, the reflows do occur when you're animating height because
Hmm.
it's rearranging your page. So paint reoccurs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas if you animate a transform,
Yes.
that doesn't happen. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. But I have
But
yet to see a noticeable difference really between the
yeah,
two. And fair enough, you can
yeah,
probably stress test that. But even
yeah.
on low end phones, I don't know whether browsers have gotten just really good at like doing some optimization in terms of reflows or
Mm.
whatever.
I
But
imagine so.
yes, like because like this would imply the fact that they prioritize this, it would imply it's actually you would probably want to do this.
Yeah.
Um,
But remember, this is auto. Yeah? It's not. You can only use this with auto or other intrinsic sizing keywords to get the performance
yes,
benefits. if you're doing to like height 80 pixels, you're not going to get the performance benefits
How so?
because it's not doing that calculation within the. Okay, now we're getting into the weeds on how these APIs work, and to be honest,
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure,
Okay.
but because this only works with that interpolate size property.
Mm. 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 Okay. But yeah, regardless, it's still early days.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's interesting to me that like I've been a bit more liberal in animating things that I've been told for a very long time I should not animate. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been very
Other,
good.
you've been a good boy. Yeah. You don't know what you're missing. Um, I just think, yeah, like for me, it's like also like I think I'm wondering whether a lot of that just came from the assumption that we would also do animation with JavaScript.
Yes,
And, and
definitely.
and JavaScript single threaded. So
Yeah.
I do think like if you're using pure CSS, like a lot of that can probably be offloaded.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Agree. Yeah.
yeah, it can probably calculate all the reflows pretty quickly in advance.
Yeah.
If they have to do it via JavaScript, like that's a different story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So that interpolate size property is the key
yes.
here.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and you can, if you scroll down a little bit below the example they talk about, you can actually just add it to your root.
Cool. So okay, so then you opt into it across the board on all display
Yeah.
nodes. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is very
And then
similar to yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then whenever you animate like a width to max content, fit content, or height auto or anything like that, it's going to then hook into this API
Okay,
automatically.
cool. So yeah, so basically so there are certain things that you just can't animate. Like I think for a very long time height and width were one of them, but then they actually added it. But you still can't
Yeah,
do auto. You could only do fixed ones.
correct.
So it sounds
Yeah,
like like this is interesting. Like they kind of did the same for view transitions as well, where you have to opt into it. It's also just a one-liner.
yeah,
And like there's a lot of stuff you have to, and it makes sense from a radical backwards compatibility. You have to like opt into things to not, they don't want to change the existing way, because even if the existing, it's kind of like box
yes,
sizing border box, you know? But I'm
exactly.
wondering whether because so many of these things have dropped, whether we're going to get to a point eventually where it's like this massive reset CSS file that like just like opt you into like all the modern things. Well,
Back to the
inevitably,
normalized days.
yeah. It's like you literally have a single 3 megabyte CSS file that just opts you into all the things. Because I don't know, like where do we go from here? This is a nice approach for now, but we're just going to
Yeah,
keep on doing
agreed.
this. Like it's going to be a lot of things. But yeah,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, backwards compatibility as a founding principle of making any changes to the web platform is
Yeah,
yeah, uh,
yeah.
it
Yeah,
makes
I have some thoughts
things.
on that, but like, yeah, that's almost like a talk on its own. Um, okay, I definitely feel like okay, let me just like do it. I'm convinced from what I'm seeing from the discussions at W3C and so forth and TC39 is that JavaScript is eventually going to be split into two languages.
You think
Like
so? Oh, interesting.
yeah, there are actually legit proposals for that, and if you remember, that was always the intent, which is why there was always meant to be, which is also like why Oracle owns the JavaScript trade name and whatever, like because there was supposed to be a scripting language and then like a classic like OOP like full on real programming language, but yeah. Which is why, like, if you do, for example, if you do script for a very long time, you had to say, what was it, type or, and I think, yeah, type.
Yep, always. Yeah,
It just auto. Now you
pretty.
don't have to do it anymore. But I mean, the reason
Yeah,
why you had to do that is because they obviously, um, for a long time, were planning on adding another language. That's more like, Yeah, but anyway, like that's a separate discussion. Okay, so in this example, they do interpolate size allow keywords. So where does this come into play over here?
So
So
if you look at the other CSS, they've got a nav hover property
let's
and a focus
see,
visible with
max
max
content.
content.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And then,
Okay, so this is cool. It's because they don't know how wide it's going to be. This
correct.
is cool. So the animation automatically adjusts to. So if I go and do reply all
Yeah, it's
like that,
automatically adjust.
wow, this is neat. I broke it, but
Yeah. Yeah. Very
okay,
cool, isn't it?
okay, that's really cool. There was no way you could do this previously. Okay, so you can have your
No.
animations animate to something that's calculated on the fly. Oh, that's
Yeah.
neat. Yeah, I
How
think
are
the
they
next.
adding?
Yeah.
How are they hiding and adding those? Is there JavaScript here, or is it just? Are they using? Because I no. So
Hover.
they must be using those proper.
I guess text is
Okay,
overflow
so they've
clip.
got width, overflow.
Oh, they're
Oh,
hard
they're
coding the width.
over.
They're hard coding the width,
Yeah, and then
and then
yeah, and then
like they are removing the
oh,
hard code when you hover.
yeah, yeah. So
So
overflow X clip is the
yes,
thing there. Yeah.
yes,
Okay,
yes. So
got
if you were
it.
to remove this, it would just show all of it like immediately. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
This is
Cool.
interesting. This is really cool. Okay, yeah, I think this is also maybe not the greatest example because I would just do this with scale X, um, but
You could, yeah,
but
but
I think like yeah, what?
remember
Mm,
with scale X, it's not going to respect the width of your content.
yeah, yes. Well, so I think what I'm trying to say is I think this can actually be better illustrated if you put them next to one another. Um, to just
Oh,
indicate
I
that
see
you
what you mean.
are
Yeah, yeah,
actually physically changing the width. I would have just floated it
yeah.
or something. So let's actually do that. Display flex important to just kind of illustrate the. Okay.
Uh,
How are you overriding my important, guys?
no,
Come on.
you want to do it on the LI. Do it on the LI.
Is it on the LI? What? No, I want these
No.
buttons to be next to one another.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
is it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Why isn't
Yeah.
that working?
Interesting. I don't know. They probably have a class or I don't know. Why is it
Yeah,
not working?
but you're
Probably using
importing it.
layers or
Yes.
something.
Wait, they are. Hang on, hang on, hang
Yeah,
on.
they're
They've
using
got. They
layers.
are.
That's why. Okay, I
Yes.
just
There
need to
you
put it
go.
in that layer. Okay.
But they are using flex there. I think they're just flex columning it.
Oh, you are right. Okay, so flex direction. Row. Let's just see. Let me important it. Okay. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, see, this is why I wanted to show it because look at this. It's now moving the stuff
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
You're physically changing the width, whereas like if it's above Google, you're more than welcome to give credit to me if you want to improve your example. All the royalties can go to Skulk Venter. But yeah, like so obviously it's not that clear when you have them above one another because I think that like then you can just do there are ways to do this with current CSS. Yeah. Okay, cool. What's next? So we have exclusive details. Okay, so this one's pretty self-evident. I don't think you explained it to me just in words and I immediately understood. So
Yeah. Just add a
yeah,
name and you're good.
yeah. Does it do the does it respect transitions? You
So
know?
you can now. Well, now you could use interpolate size to do
Yes.
this because you could do
Yes.
height auto now. So
Yes.
yeah,
Okay,
lighting
cool.
or keyframe animation or something like that, and
Yes.
you're good to go.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I actually did this with once again with transitions, and I'll probably swap it out. Let me just show you quickly. So these are
Yes, I remember these. Yeah.
yeah. So these are transitions. But the problem is, luckily, it's long enough that you don't see, but like it won't push this down. So I think if I zoom out really, it just immediately jumps. You see
Right.
that, like, and there's just
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
so this stuff below it doesn't move with the animation. Luckily, it's long enough that you don't see it. But okay, cool.
Yeah.
Stylable details. Yeah, why was this
Yeah.
not a thing? Like, I have no idea why we're only getting this now, and it's only limited availability. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
yeah, like
so
mm,
there's some animations being added there on the
yeah. So
on the
then I would
detail.
assume
Yeah.
that it is, yeah, and there's no JavaScript. Yeah, okay, cool. This is nice. Yeah, it kind of sucked like how like opinionated details were in terms of styling and how little it actually
Yeah.
allowed you to change with that styling. Uh,
Well,
yeah,
I've done some crazy styling with details, but
yeah,
you
yeah,
had to do some nasty stuff. Yeah, you had
yeah.
to like remove the markers and
Yes, no, exactly. Like, and I
uh,
think this is like a lot of this is like I'm displaying none things and I'm using like
yeah,
pseudo
yeah,
elements and whatever. Yeah,
pseudo elements. Yeah, exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
but that
Um,
if you
mm,
look at the CSS on that one, Skulk,
mm, mm,
and just scroll down
mm.
until you get to details content, which is now a pseudo class.
Oh, over here.
There we
Okay, so
go.
they put the
So
animation on that. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So I think
I
even
mean,
in
as
my
easy as
example, I
that.
don't
Yeah,
put the animation on that. I put it on the thing inside here.
yeah.
Um, okay.
Well,
Which
that
I
hooks
yeah.
into that now, so it just gives us another pseudo class. Yeah,
Nice. Okay. Details content. Oh, this is really cool. Okay. I like that they're using layers like this. They're using a lot of really modern CSS. I
yeah,
think a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people would look at this and like not have no idea what the CSS does because it's just like packed full of like so much kind of like new stuff, like add layers and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
a
Cool.
good comment. Here's a good comment from Sean. Yeah, that the HTML spec for details obviously came
That's a
first, not the
yeah.
CSS. Yeah, that's very valid.
Yeah,
Well,
that
thanks for
is
that.
actually a very valid point.
Yeah,
So the like how like the styling implementation, yeah, it was probably seen exclusively as just a HTML thing, like unordered list or whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um,
Thanks, man.
all right. Okay, so then anchor positioning. This is really
Oh,
cool. Let me just give a shout out to Anchorium. If you want to learn anchor positions, there is an actual CSS game. That's really cool to just learn it. And to me, the main
yes.
thing is just like what you'll see here. What's cool about that is it actually moves with it.
Yeah,
And lots of other cool stuff. You've had to do a
yeah.
lot
I
of like
think
position relative, position absolute, and
and
another cool
JavaScript.
yes, and I do a lot of this type of thing because I work on a lot of like dashboard type things like this where you can kind of like move things around. That's more like software than like an actual DOM layout. And the pain point is always like if you have like this type of overlay or whatever, like what happens if the thing is over there and someone clicks it, and it just goes off screen. So
Mm,
especially if you have like a table and like over here and someone clicks it, this is just like chop it in half. So what's cool, this is like you can actually define like the constraints. So you'll see as I
mm.
move this, it actually, let me just make this a bit bigger.
Resizes,
You'll see
yeah.
it actually responds. It's
Yeah,
aware of the size around it, which is really, really cool.
this is
Um,
really great. Yeah, I
yeah, no,
spent
it's really
way too
cool.
much time on this game. Yeah,
Yeah,
a couple of
yeah,
weeks
same
ago.
here. Yeah, yeah. So basically, that's like it's kind of hard to explain it without actually just playing around with it because it's something that's completely new, as opposed to all the other things we spoke about, which is kind of like just things that are enhancing existing things or kind
Yeah,
of adding things that were kind of seen as missing, but now they are available. This is completely new. So yeah, I'd encourage you to play around with it. It's kind of hard to explain without actually,
yeah.
yeah.
It's just yeah. So, a lot of these new things have very similar ways in which they work. Like the
Mm,
pop over anchor positioning, it's like naming
mm,
something in a certain way
mm,
and then creating a connection to something else via that,
mm.
and then
Yeah,
um,
intrinsic.
saying,
Yeah,
okay,
intrinsic
now
design.
apply
Yeah,
these properties. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's a lot more of declarative in terms of what do you want it to do instead of how do you want it done. Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, like, and if you've ever used like Popper.js or whatever, like the way it works is very similar. It's pretty clear to me that they've kind of taken inspiration from how something like Popper.js or whatever works, which is
Yeah.
something that like a lot of the libraries like Material UI and Bootstrap and all of them just use under the hood to do this type of thing, like tooltips or whatever. Okay. Um, scroll bar color.
Uh,
Um,
Amazing to me that it's taken 30.
yeah.
CSS turned 30 yesterday. Uh,
Oh, that's true as well. Yeah.
uh,
Mm,
this is in baseline in 2024. It's
mm,
wild. But I
mm,
can
mm,
imagine the difficulties with cross
mm,
operating systems, browsers to
mm,
actually do something like this. So,
mm, mm,
yeah.
mm. Yeah, I never actually realized that this was never standardized because I was just like using this out of the box so often that like it never occurred to me, hey, this is actually not standardized.
Yeah, it never
Um,
worked in Firefox either.
yeah, but I've it's not like I haven't been doing this. I've been doing this across the board, and it's it's almost always a progressive enhancement. If your
Yeah, no,
if
always.
your
Yeah.
website like depends on you actually like your scroll bar being a certain color, but it's nice when you have like some elements that are darker than others or whatever. It's just nice to not have this, especially if you're putting a scroll bar on something that's dark, to not have this white thing, you know, like in dark mode or whatever, just pop out all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So this has just been standardized. Okay, view transitions.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be able to even cover it extensively here because it's such a deep thing.
Yeah.
If you don't know about it, definitely check it out. I even think this
It,
example that I have here does it a disservice. It is super powerful. It's really just a massive change in paradigm.
mm,
But yeah, there are some problems with it still. But I mean, it's specification, so like they're going to keep on working on it. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but effectively, like as I mentioned previously, where you opt into um, the display none animation, you can opt into you can have a lot of granular control over how your view transitions work. But if you literally just add this piece of CSS to your style sheet, by default, all pages, literally pages, not like I mean like literally going from about us HTML to index.html or whatever, you'll actually see up here. And obviously, it's not using like a JavaScript framework router or anything. You can literally
Yeah.
animate those page changes. If you just pop this in, it's going to crossfade it automatically. Um, you can make it more advanced. In this example, they probably have some transition rules, but if you literally just chop this at the top, and you might be underestimating like how big of a difference this makes. Because remember, if you have like something like a scroll bar or something, like if things crossfade, that's not going to quote unquote animate because it's just crossfading from what it currently is to what it's going to be, which is the same thing. So it just remains static. So,
Yeah.
like just by popping this in, like it's just such a nice way to actually see what changed. So if you have a nav bar or whatever, and you just pop this in your CSS, if someone navigates around in your page, all of a sudden, at the very least, they'll get a visual cue of what has changed when I click this button. So there's no reason to not have this. But um, anyway, yeah, like they don't even have a code pen example here because it's just like it's a pretty deep thing. Yeah, Justin, you spoke about scroll-driven animations quite extensively. Um, what is the example that they have here? Oh, they just have that. Yeah. Okay. I think you're muted, FYI.
Swap my.
There you go. Hmm.
Um, it's the same example that Brahms has on his scroll-driven animations example.
Uh, I
So
see. Yeah.
that's one you can see all of them there. He's got about
Yeah.
20 on there.
Okay. Yeah, I think, once again, I think this is a bit like underselling it a bit. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
agreed.
really cool stuff you can do with this.
Yeah,
But yeah, you obviously want to keep it simple.
yeah.
Um,
Again, no Firefox
yes,
support,
yes.
but all for Safari actually. Now that I think of
Yeah,
it,
I guess that's maybe
but
why they do such a simple example.
yeah,
Because if you want to do something like seeing the progress or whatever, like now you're actually adding meaning and not just enhancing.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but effectively, you can just to summarize this. What you can do in short is like in the way that you have keyframes, and you bind that keyframes to time. So from 0 to 100 or whatever, and over 3 seconds, you're literally doing the exact same thing, but you're binding it to scroll position. So like if you think about that keyframes animation, someone's just going from 100 or from 0 to 50, then to 20 to, so it just maps
yeah.
it to a progression. Yeah.
Mm. And
Okay.
there are two things there. There's view,
Mm,
so
mm,
there's view and scroll. So there's
yes.
enter viewport, and then
Mm.
there's scroll into
In
place.
terms of
So
where
there's
in the
two,
document you are.
yeah.
Mm,
So the two timelines attached to that.
mm.
Yeah, I think we did a I think I did a talk on these
Yeah,
as
you did a
well.
phenomenal talk on this. Yeah.
So
Which is
that's
how
also
I
should
learned
be
about it. Mm,
so that should be on our channel as well.
mm. Scroll snap events.
Okay, I have to confess, scroll snap is something I have never really delved into. I always mean to because it does very cool things.
What does it
Um,
do?
so it snaps your scrolling position, snaps to a scrolling position. So if you're scrolling horizontally,
Oh, okay. It ends at a specific place.
correct, yeah,
So is that like similar to the thing where like like on some sites, like if you scroll down just a little bit or whatever, it goes to the next slide or whatever.
exactly. You can do
Ooh,
that
I don't know how I
with
feel about that, honestly.
CSS. Look,
But
use it sparingly, yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, okay, yeah. Well, I guess this is like useful. Where I do maybe see it being useful is when you actually want to have some type of swipe functionality, which you don't
yes,
currently have.
yeah.
So if you want to be able to, so you could, for all intents and purposes, have like Tinder. Well, I guess you can't go right and left or whatever, but like something like that where you just swipe through things, and each movement, it doesn't matter whether you swipe a crap ton or you just go like a little slight swipe, it would move to a certain position. Is that what you're saying?
We lost you for a second there, Scott.
Oh, I think we lost you. Excuse me.
Oh, okay. Was it me?
Well, you're the
Maybe.
host. You're the host. So I guess you lost me. No. So what I was saying. So you could probably have some type of swiping thing where, like, you have cards, and if you swipe just a little bit, it goes to the next card. Or if you like swipe and break your arm in the process, or like it goes to the same position. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess I get it. It's a way to add swipeable behavior. I think just the problem there is, yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought through it sufficiently. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's nice.
It gives UX feedback more than anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something you can use, which is never a bad thing. Oh, okay. So I see. In this case, it's actually quite useful.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's nicely done.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What's next? Developer experience.
Yeah. So this is just
Mm,
so backdrop,
yeah.
which we can use with dialogue. Now you can use custom properties for colors and things like that. It's not a
I
big thing,
didn't.
but it's
I didn't even know you couldn't do that. You could
you
style it,
could
right? You
you
just
could
couldn't use
style it,
custom
but you
properties.
couldn't use custom properties. So
That
that's
is
new.
very
Because of the
strange.
because pseudo elements, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Well. Okay. Um.
um, yeah.
This is
So
cool.
no,
Yeah.
no, Stock. That's slightly different. Yeah. The backdrop inheritance. It's inheriting stuff that you can assign to your dialogue is what it couldn't do. So if you
Oh, are
had
you
your
talking?
dialogue,
Oh, you're talking about this.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I
So if
thought you were
you
on the next thing already.
no, so if you go to the CSS, you'll see they're putting the custom properties inside the dialogue.
Okay, so it acts more like a custom element in that sense.
Exactly.
I
It's related
see.
more to
I
your
thought you
dialogue
couldn't use it.
styling.
So you set it directly on the. Okay. Yeah, and I
So
guess
you
there's
can
probably some.
encapsulate those styles in a
Hmm.
way. Yeah.
So I guess there was probably some interplay or some strange behavior when it came to using like custom elements with dialogues or something like that. But like I didn't even know, like, to me this isn't like something that I thought like they really need to solve this. So there's probably some edge cases.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. Um
Yeah. Okay.
this is really cool. I
Oh,
really
this is
like
great.
this. I'm feeling a bit scared when I see this type of thing because it kind of really like messes with your paradigm of how you think about styling. But it is going to solve a lot of problems for me where, for example, I have buttons and then I have to manually say if those buttons are, I have a, in my React or whatever, I have a prop where I'm saying, is it on a dark background or a light background?
Yeah.
Um, so I guess this is kind of cool where um, you can actually set the color scheme of something. So obviously you can set the color scheme of the entire document with the new primitives, but you can even have like, okay, this little thing in here is in dark mode, that little
Yeah.
thing in there, and then it would actually, like, I would assume it doesn't have it in here, but I would assume it will also update all the primitives. So let's quickly check that out. I would assume that, I might be mistaken. So if I were to go and put, like, for example, a date selector in there, I would assume that it would cascade down
Oh,
into that. I don't know if you know if it does, Justin.
I don't. I think it does.
Would assume that as well. So yes, cool. So check this out. This is really
Yeah, it
cool.
does.
So so basically, if I have it outside of that, then okay. So yeah. So check this. So even the primitives, the browser primitives, respond to that, which is cool.
Very
Um,
cool. Yeah.
and I actually think this is going to kind of cover a lot of the examples that I mentioned where I said, like, I often style the scroll bar. If I have a scroll
Mm,
bar in something that's dark, because, by default, if you have it in something that's dark, it's just this white stripe here. But if, I guess, the scroll bar would also respond to this. I'm going to be naughty and do a style, inline style overflow Y and just say scroll. And I would assume. So this is really neat. I like this. Yes, it's white. And hey, would you look at that? And I guess this is also the territory where you start seeing the people that are making the browsers are also the people that are making operating systems. Because like this is definitely not the type of thing that someone like Firefox would push for. But I can definitely see why someone like Chrome is pushing for this type of thing. You might be muted again. You might be muted, Justin. Okay, I'm pretty sure you're muted. You're not muted in StreamYard, but I can't hear you. Let me just check. The best way to check. Wait, I'm hearing something now.
Wait, sorry.
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Audio
Okay, come.
again. Apologies.
No worries. Okay.
Cool.
Then
Property, pop
yes,
over, starting style. We mentioned all of those
yes. I think
already.
property is also one of those things. Like, you can't really give a really good example that encapsulates the usefulness of it in a little
Yeah.
snippet. So it's one of those things you have to dive into it a bit to kind of see the usefulness of it. Pop over API. Yeah, we spoke about this. Basically, it's as simple as you don't even need CSS.
No, you
If I
don't.
understand correctly. Like you literally,
don't,
there you
no.
go. You have
That's it.
you set this attribute, you set what is the target of the popover. Let's remove all the CSS. And like this is just like it's wild to me that you can just do this. There you go. So, and then if you click outside of it, yeah. So this is this
You can
type of
also
thing I had
escape.
to build with JavaScript previously. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
How many?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
it's keyboard accessible by
Mm,
default as
mm.
well.
Yes. So you can almost think about this, I guess, as a more lower level version, almost of a detail, HTML detail, that just gives you more styling control and so forth, and obviously other semantic meaning. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
far that you click on
absolutely.
something and it shows you extra info. But
Yeah.
you just get built-in behavior. Whereas I'm pretty sure if you click outside a detail, that doesn't close automatically.
No.
Yes. Popovers come with built-in support. Yeah. Cool. Entry fix. Yeah.
Yeah, we just did that.
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. Like it's just so you would previously do this with keyframes and
Yeah.
hard code and animation.
Just
Cool. It's interesting. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Modeless. So you have to use the dialogue if you want modal behavior. So as
That's
soon
true.
as you
Okay, so yes.
interact with anything, you need a dialogue. Thanks, Sean.
Yes. So what that means, just to break it down, is that a modal you need to explicitly dismiss before you can proceed to the next thing. Whereas you can have a popover open and still use other things on the site. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, but also if you
Okay.
wanted to have any action within a modal type element, like submit a form or something, I mean, not the best thing in the world that you should do. You're not going to. You need to use a modal. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Do you know? I would assume the implication would also be that popover doesn't do focus capturing.
I'm not sure, honestly.
Okay. All right. I'm surprised they didn't just use full on scale X here, and they actually did transform.
Oh, right.
Yeah, with all the other modern stuff they have in here. But anyway, yeah. So there you go. So okay, click on the button. Yeah. Okay. So this is a good example. So this is a modal. In other words, that you can't. You have to explicitly. I can't now go and tab out of it. Well, not within the same page. Well, I think this is an iframe, but like you'll see, under normal circumstances, I can just tab to open dialog to that button. But if this is open, it does what's called focus capture. So I can't. If I were to look at this now, not as an iframe, obviously I can tab out of the iframe, but you can see I can't tab to anything else except what's inside it. And this is for accessibility purposes and so forth. They added this in the new. I think there's one specific version of Material UI where they added this to their modals or their dialogues, the focus capturing, and like it tripped so many people up. So many people couldn't understand why. I know the one client I had, like they just couldn't understand, or the one place where I did consulting is they had like this little chat widget thing where you click and then you can type like with the support team or whatever, and like they just like when you click it just didn't want to open, or it opened but you couldn't type in it. And the reason is because like dialogues now capture focus, so you can't focus on anything outside it until you dismiss it. Okay. Whereas and I think this is what Sean was saying, with popovers you can, which is where dialogues and popovers are different. If you wait a second, that is only if you do it via show modal, right?
That's right.
So why does it do it over here?
I don't know. Maybe it's changed. Check the HTML.
Unless they add some other things. That's interesting. Maybe Sean would actually be able to comment on that. I don't know. Like, I don't know why. My understanding was it's only if you do show modal, then it captures the focus. Like, why can't I now navigate to open dialog with my tabbing? But anyway,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
okay. I like. I'm gonna face up. I have no idea what the Ruby element is.
It's for phonetic annotations in video, mostly used in videos.
Okay. I always thought it had something to do with the programming language. Like, no joke.
No.
Okay, but like this has been around in HTML forever.
Yeah, for annotations and things like that.
Yes. Okay, I don't have. So what does this do? It allows you to just do
It just breaks
alignment
lines
styles
and allows you to
on-
align stuff better. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to center align it, okay. So I would assume previously it
So if you see
would left
if you see
align
that
automatically.
example, you've got the Latin text, and then you've got you've got 2 lines and then 2 lines.
Mm.
Now it breaks the lines with the both language rendering. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Why
it.
do you know why it's called Ruby?
I
Is
have
that like
no
the actual
idea,
name of
actually.
what you call the thing, or
I don't know, actually.
okay? I don't actually know about paint order. What is paint order? Text for
This is for SVG.
SVGs, yeah. The result of this. Okay, so that gives you more like canvas type control, I assume, in terms of imperatively when things are drawn. Did it previously do it based on the ordering of your elements themselves? So I would assume if you have like a circle and a line, if you have the line element after the circle, it would draw the line on top in terms of how you declare it. Would that be the case? Uh-oh, did I lose Justin? Or did Justin lose me? He's listening very intently. Okay. Oops. Okay. Well, let's look at it. So I would assume that it would do that by default. Yes. Oh, okay. So I think it's built in. Okay. So the way it.
Again.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. No, I think I kind of rubber ducked myself out of this. So by default, I'd never actually knew this. It draws the strokes before like after it does the fill. So when SVGs are rendering, it does the fill and then it draws the strokes.
No,
and you can tell it to do it.
Text. Yeah? It's text, not
only for text.
Only for text.
So there's not the case if you have squares or whatever.
No.
Okay. Cool.
And it only works with that WebKit stroke text.
Oh, I see. Yeah, see, I never used this. I would just
Which
outline
it. It's not a standard property. I'm not sure why they have this in here, to be honest. It's definitely not baseline.
It's probably like something that someone working at Google really wants super badly. Yeah. Probably Adam.
No, probably, yeah.
Okay, nested declarations. Yeah, this is yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I like being able to do this with media queries and hover and whatever, but it does feel like it makes it too easy to now do this with everything else.
Agree.
So it's like almost to me like a double-edged sword, but
yeah. It's nice to situate media queries in a component in that sense. But once you start, once you're doing class ULLIA to change the color of something and it's all nested, you've got a problem with your CSS.
Yes, exactly. So it's kind of like, we're getting, I don't know. Maybe you like that. Maybe like people are like, that's amazing. I love that. And I know people that do. Okay, cool. Is that it? So
that's it.
Yeah. Also, cool. So obviously, shout out to Adam Argyle, Una,
Rachel.
What's her name? Rachel. Yeah, Rachel is such a kind of like powerhouse behind the scenes. Like,
Absolutely.
I almost feel like she gets no credit. Oh, well, that's not fair to say, but like, I like the amount of work that she puts into CSS and so forth. I think it's like most people would know who Adam and Una are. They probably won't know who Rachel is. Brahmas, as you mentioned, and I don't know who Barry Pollard is.
No, I don't know either.
Okay. Well, maybe this guy's like the real Rachel Andrew, who's like, this guy's literally CSS itself. And like no one is giving him like any kudos. Yeah. So shout out to you, Barry. This is brought to you by Patton, and it's shouted out to Barry. Okay. Keep on doing your thing. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Sculp. Just I just wanted to mention 2 other things before we go. That is, obviously, we've already mentioned it. CSS 30 years old as of yesterday,
just
which is pretty wild.
It feels at the same time. It feels like it's way longer than 30 years, and at the same time, it also feels like there's no way it's 30 years already.
Yeah.
Like, my brain, like, it's too long and too short. I can't explain it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then another thing, Stephanie Eccles, who writes great stuff on CSS, is doing 12 days of web dev thing.
Advent of CSS, basically.
Advent of CSS, yeah.
Yes. I don't think she calls it that, but in essence,
no,
that's
I think
what
she does actually.
Oh, is it?
Oh no, it's called 12 Days of Web.
Yeah.
12 Days of Web .dev.
Yeah, there's a couple of these now. There's like a TypeScript one as well, and I get them via email. They come in.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, if you just click on the titles there, it's better. But there's some great stuff here. Yeah. Nice examples of what we've been talking about as well.
Just in a more bite-sized format.
Exactly.
And also like way more examples.
Yeah. Stephanie's really, really good with easy to understand examples. We also had her on one of our AMAs, so check that out also.
Yes. Yeah. All right, I need to head out. I'm 6 minutes late for a meeting. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Also, thanks Sean for kind of like all the comments and kind of helping us where we're kind of going astray.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah. All right, guys, have a great December, and then we'll chat again in January.
Great. Thanks, Scott.
All right. Bye.
Bye.